The illusion that promoted teams can survive the Bundesliga simply by working hard enough died in Cologne tonight. Effort, passion, and tactical discipline mean nothing when the gap in quality has become an unbridgeable canyon. Core analysis. There is a comforting lie that runs through football at every level. It whispers that hard work can overcome talent, that desire is a currency equal to quality, that a team united in effort can somehow manufacture results against superior opposition through sheer collective will. Köln believed this lie. Their manager Lukas Kwasniok repeated it before this fixture, insisting his players were working just as hard as they did during their promising start to the season. There was no difference in approach, he claimed. The team was working brilliantly. These statements were not false. They were simply irrelevant. The Rhinelanders executed their tactical assignments with commendable precision for stretches of this contest. They pressed with intensity. They held their defensive shape. They even found themselves ahead after punishing a rare moment of disconnection in Bayern's backline. The home supporters had created an atmosphere so thick with pyrotechnic smoke that the match had to be delayed. Everything was aligned for a famous result. None of it mattered. What this match exposed was something far more uncomfortable than a simple defeat. It revealed that the conversation around struggling teams in the Bundesliga has become fundamentally dishonest. When a club sits just 5 points above the relegation zone while extending a winless run to 8 matches, we do not need to analyze their work ethic. We need to acknowledge that work ethic has become a convenient distraction from structural inequality. Bayern responded to falling behind the same way they have responded to every minor inconvenience this season. They simply accessed a gear that their opponents cannot reach. A 17-year-old named Lennart Karl, playing in his breakout campaign, sealed this victory with his 4th Bundesliga contribution in a season where he has already rewritten the club's history books in the Champions League. He is not even old enough to drive in most countries. He was born after Bayern's last Bundesliga loss to Köln. Consider the psychological weight of that reality. The home supporters who lit those flares and created that atmosphere had to watch a child finish off their hopes. Not through some freakish moment of individual brilliance that defies tactical systems. Through calm, collected, routine excellence that suggested this was simply another day at the office for someone who had just finished homework assignments months ago. The scoreline suggested a competitive match. It was nothing of the sort. Bayern completed the first half of their Bundesliga season with 47 points and a goal difference of plus 53. These numbers surpass every team that has ever competed in this division. Every single one. Including the Guardiola sides that won titles by March. Including the dominant eras that erased competition entirely. Köln cannot outwork this. No promoted team can. The gap is not a matter of tactical adjustment or incremental improvement. The gap is a matter of resources, infrastructure, scouting networks, and financial gravity that has bent German football into an unrecognizable shape over the past decade. The Billy Goats showed resilience in their previous match, fighting back twice to salvage a draw against relegation-threatened Heidenheim. This was celebrated as evidence of fighting spirit, but what does fighting spirit actually purchase in a league where the leading team has conceded fewer goals than most sides have drawn matches? What does it mean to compete bravely when competition itself has been redefined as the privilege of the wealthy? Kwasniok speaks of approaching matches to the limits of his team's capabilities and making things unpleasant for superior opposition. This is the language of managed decline. It is the vocabulary of a club that has already accepted its position in a hierarchy that cannot be disrupted through football performance alone. The lads are working brilliantly. They will continue working brilliantly as they slide toward the relegation playoff places. Bayern, meanwhile, have transformed this season into an exercise in historical record-setting. Vincent Kompany has now matched and surpassed the benchmarks established by Guardiola during the most dominant era in Bundesliga history. He has done this while resting key players, managing fitness concerns, and integrating teenagers into crucial moments without visible anxiety. The machine simply processes fixtures and produces points regardless of which components are installed on any given evening. The 15-year winless streak that Köln brought into this fixture against Bayern extended to 21 matches without a victory. An entire generation of supporters has grown up watching their club fail against the same opponent. Children who were toddlers during the last Köln win have now graduated from school, entered the workforce, started families, and continued watching the same inevitable outcome unfold. This is not a rivalry. This is a ritual of submission disguised as competitive sport. The smoke that delayed kickoff served an unintentional symbolic purpose. It obscured the pitch, making the actual football temporarily invisible. When it cleared, everyone could see clearly again. What they saw was exactly what they expected, what they have always expected, what they will continue to expect until the fundamental economics of German football undergo transformation. Hard work remains valuable. It develops character. It builds resilience. It prepares young players for professional demands. But hard work as a competitive strategy against unlimited resources has become a fantasy that flatters those who prefer comfortable narratives over uncomfortable truths. Köln worked hard tonight. They will work hard in their next fixture. They will work hard all the way through the relegation battle that their current trajectory is making increasingly probable. And Bayern will continue setting records that make this working hard feel like arranging deck chairs while the ship takes on water. The promoted side has 17 points from 17 matches. Bayern has 47. The arithmetic is not complicated. The implications are not mysterious. The solution is not available through tactical innovation or motivational speeches. Some matches end with lessons. This one ended with a confirmation of something that has been true for years but remains difficult to articulate in football discourse. The Bundesliga is no longer a competition in any meaningful sense at the top. It is a procession with occasional speed bumps. Köln represented one such speed bump tonight. They slowed Bayern for approximately 30 minutes. Then the machine accelerated past them and disappeared over the horizon, leaving behind only smoke and questions about what exactly we are watching when we watch these matches. The answer is uncomfortable. We are watching the systematic dismantling of competitive balance presented as sporting entertainment. We are watching hard work elevated as a virtue precisely because it costs nothing and changes nothing. We are watching promoted teams celebrated for their spirit while their structural disadvantages go unaddressed. Kwasniok will prepare for the next fixture. His players will train with intensity. The supporters will return to the stadium with their flares and their hopes. And the gap will remain exactly where it has always been. Too wide to cross, too obvious to ignore, too profitable to close. Bayern now enters the second half of their season 11 points clear at the summit. They have lost one competitive match in their entire campaign, one against Arsenal in the Champions League. In the Bundesliga, they remain undefeated with a scoring rate that approaches 4 goals per match. Köln enters the second half 5 points above the relegation playoff position with a winless streak that shows no signs of ending against the quality of opposition they will continue to face. Their hard work will not save them. Nothing available to them will save them except the relative dysfunction of the teams currently below them. This is the reality that the Flares tried to obscure. This is the truth that no amount of atmospheric intensity can alter. This is the illusion that died tonight in Cologne. Hard work is not enough. It never was, it never will be, and pretending otherwise serves only those who benefit from the current arrangement remaining exactly as it is. Final verdict. The most dangerous lie in football is that the gap can be closed through intangibles, and tonight proved that some chasms only widen when you try to work your way across them. Script length, approximately 1,450 words. Patch, target runtime, 10 to 12 minutes at natural narration pace. Extended analysis, continuation. The celebration in the Bayern dressing room would have been muted. Company has cultivated an environment where historic achievements are acknowledged briefly and then filed away as yesterday's news. The players showered, changed, and prepared for the next fixture before the record-breaking nature of their first half season had fully registered with the football public. This professional detachment represents its own form of dominance. While Köln supporters processed another defeat in a fixture, they have not won since 2011. While their players absorbed the physical and emotional toll of another loss, Bayern simply moved on. The The gap in psychological resources mirrors the gap in financial resources. One club has the luxury of treating milestones as routine. The other must treat routine fixtures as potential turning points that never quite turn. The teenager who sealed the victory will train tomorrow alongside World Cup winners and Champions League veterans. He will absorb their habits, their standards, their expectations. He will develop within an environment where excellence is the baseline requirement rather than the aspirational ceiling. And in a few years, he will likely be worth more than Köln's entire transfer budget. This is not a criticism of Lennart Karl. His talent is undeniable. His composure is remarkable for any age. His future appears limitless in ways that must make opposition scouts simultaneously impressed and depressed. But his presence in this match represented something larger than individual brilliance. He represented the pipeline, the endless conveyor belt of talent that flows toward wealthy clubs and away from everyone else. The systematic advantages that compound over generations until the league table becomes a foregone conclusion before a ball is kicked. Köln cannot develop talents like Karl. They cannot identify them reliably. They cannot afford to sign them when identified. They cannot retain them when developed. Every step of the talent acquisition and retention process favors clubs with resources that promoted teams cannot match through any amount of clever scouting or passionate support. The Billy Goats were one of the hottest teams in the Bundesliga during the autumn months. They accumulated points efficiently. They played with conviction. They gave their newly returned supporters genuine reasons for optimism. Then the fixture list brought them into contact with superior opposition, and the optimism revealed itself as temporary at best. 7 matches without a victory tells its own story, but the manner of these results tells a more complete narrative. Close defeats to quality opposition, hard-fought draws against relegation rivals, the grinding reality of a promoted club confronting the upper tiers of German football without the weapons necessary for sustained resistance. Bayern will not think about Köln again until they meet in the reverse fixture. The Rhinelanders are simply another data point in a season designed for historical significance. Company compares himself to no one, but his players are chasing records that stretch back decades. The goal differential alone represents a departure from anything previously achieved. Plus 53. Absorb that number. It means Bayern has outscored their opponents by an average of more than 3 goals per match across 17 fixtures. It means that even their occasional struggles, like tonight when they trailed early, resolve themselves with mathematical certainty. The regression to the mean in Bundesliga football favors only one club. The smoke cleared long ago. The flares burned themselves out. The atmosphere that was supposed to intimidate the visitors dissipated into cold January air. What remained was football stripped of romance and reduced to its fundamental components: quality versus aspiration, resources versus effort, inevitability versus hope. Hope lost. Hope will continue losing until something fundamental changes, and nothing fundamental is scheduled to change. Köln returns to training tomorrow. The schedule offers no respite. The winless run demands attention. The relegation battle requires focus. And somewhere in Munich, a 17-year-old reviews video of his latest contribution while preparing for challenges that actually challenge him. The illusion is dead. Long live the reality.